Hey, if you want to use 3D assets in your 2D game, for example for a platformer or something like this top-down RPG that I made, then you'll learn how in this video. The first thing you'll want to do is to pick a model. Let's use this dragon for our 2D game. So you'll want to click on Download 3D Model here in the bottom left. And then now we're going to want to go into a new Unity project and get our dragon model and the script into it. See this video's description for a link to the animation to Png script. Now that we have our model and script in the project, we can add the model to our scene by dragging and dropping. You'll now notice that we have the model as we saw it on the website we downloaded it from, Sketchfab, appear in our scene view. Let's go ahead and remove the floor plane because we just want to use the dragon itself for our 2D game. At this point, we'll want to attach the animation controller included in the source to our dragon so that we'll be able to actually capture the animation for our game. Having done that, we can now click into the game view and press play to see that our animation is being included and rendered. We'll now want to figure out the right settings for our scene's camera. This is going to depend on the style of our 2D game. In this example, we're going to go for the same top-down perspective that we saw in the game at the beginning of this video, but your game might have a different perspective. Since the goal here is to export this 3D asset for use in a 2D game, we want to set the camera to orthographic. An orthographic camera provides us with a flat view of our 3D scene without distortion or transformation based on distance, as opposed to perspective cameras used for 3D games. Next, we'll want to set the camera size. If you look at the camera preview, the current size currently leaves off most of the dragon. If we set the size to 100, we'll be able to see the whole dragon in our camera view. Lastly, we want to set the camera position and rotation so that it is facing down above the dragon. We can now see in our game view that the dragon is purely seen from a top-down perspective, as we want for our 2D game. With that, the last step in this whole process is to export the sprites for our 2D game from this top-down view. To do this, we will use the animation to Png script we added to the project earlier in the video. First, add the script to our dragon object. Then, we have to update the script parameters. Frame rate should be 60, and the other parameters should be the same as the ones from our camera. The number of frames will depend on how many frames you want to capture for a given object's animation. In this example, let's capture 2 seconds worth of animation, which we get from 120 frames for 60 frames a second. Camera XYZ is just the camera position we chose earlier. The rest of the parameters don't need to be updated in this example, and should be self-explanatory if you want to make modifications for your other game objects later. Now, if we press the play button, our script will run and PNG images will be generated for the animation within the projects folder. Make sure to click Maximize on Play under Game View to maximize sprite output quality. This will take a while to run depending on your computer, so don't press stop in Unity until all of the sprite images are saved to disk. We can now go to our project folder to find the subfolder containing the sprite's animation images. We can see that they're being output correctly. Once all 120 images for the animation are in the folder, we can go back to Unity and stop the script. Now that we have everything in our pipeline for going from a 3D model to a sprite for our 2D game, the last thing to talk about is the animation to Png script itself. This script exposes the public variables to the editor as the parameters we edited earlier. The private variables do not get exposed to the editor. You might want to modify this script if you end up making a game that is not top-down, in which case you might want to modify the camera rotations. Aside from that, if you have any questions about anything in this tutorial, please leave a comment, but in any case, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.